There's a new government directive aimed at senior civil servants, an ultimatum indeed to actively seek savings or risk losing their job. And this initiative, spearheaded by Pat McFadden, the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, is framed as part of a broader effort to create a more agile and modern state, to pass the buck, really. The policy suggests that top mandarins must be held personally responsible for achieving savings and ensuring value for money within their departments. That's a very vague statement, which could cut either way. And at first glance, it appears to be a common sense measure. Who would argue against the notion that public servants should be good stewards of taxpayer money? McFadden himself underlines this point. It's vital that senior leaders are not just encouraged, but are held responsible for this. The devil lies in the details. Civil servants are not, by and large, responsible for setting policy. They implement decisions made by elected officials. By making them personally accountable for savings, does the government risk creating a culture of fear where decisions are made not on the basis of efficiency but in the service of personal optics and of political optics? McFadden is not the first to attempt a shake-up in Whitehall. John Glenn, as Paymaster General, previously criticised a culture where poor performers were simply moved to another department rather than managed out of the system. He proposed linking civil service pay to performance, an idea that has surfaced repeatedly over the years but has rarely been meaningfully implemented. The challenge has always been defining performance in the civil service. Unlike the private sector, where profit is the measure of success, government departments operate within the parameters of public need, legal obligations, political directives, and savings may be desirable, but they must not come at the cost of effective governance or essential services. The demand for a 5% efficiency saving across departments comes in the middle of an already squeezed public sector, and previous rounds of austerity have left little fat to trim. Departments such as health, education, local government have already seen their budgets slashed over the past decade. Where then are these additional savings to be found? There's a real danger that this policy encourages short-termism, cost-cutting measures that create more problems down the line. Savings in social care, for instance, can lead to increased strain on the NHS. Reducing administrative capacity in departments may result in delays, inefficiencies, backlogs, ultimately costing more rather than less. One cannot ignore the political dimension. This move allows ministers to claim that they are taking a hard line on waste, while shifting responsibility for economic constraints onto civil servants. If departments fail to find savings, will it be the fault of the civil service or the government's own economic policies? There's also an element of scapegoating. The portrayal of senior civil servants as complacent bureaucrats who need a proverbial kick into action fits neatly into a populist narrative. However, it ignores the pressures they already face, working within complex regulatory frameworks, responding to shifting ministerial priorities, and maintaining public services under increasingly difficult circumstances. While accountability is essential, policies that rely on punitive measures rather than structural improvements are unlikely to yield meaningful results. If the government truly seeks an agile and modern state, it should focus on genuine reform, streamlining bureaucracy, improving cross-departmental cooperation, and ensuring departments are adequately resourced to meet their objectives. The question remains, is this about efficiency, or is it about appearing tough on bureaucracy? The answer will become evident not in the rhetoric, but in the outcomes. And we'll see a civil service that is more effective, or simply one that is more fearful. We'll see a civil service that is more dynamic, or simply a civil service that has battened down the hatches and is more secretive.